Hi, this is Eric at Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming. I'm just going to go and look at some Garcinia trees that have set fruit. We've been in a severe drought pattern. I'm out here with my little bull, Romy. He's about 16 months old. He's about 28 inches tall. He's quite the handsome little guy. This is my bull calf from last year out of my favorite cow, Pepsi, Bogle Farms Uma. His registered name is Bogle Farms, or no, FVF, Frog Valley Farm, FVF Cooper. And he's getting speckles on him. It's starting to shed out, and you can see more of them. You can see them on the front there. They're going to be right up here on his shoulder, and it looks like he's going to have some on his rear end, but I can see he's got some light colored speckles where he's probably going to be black, because he's probably going to turn black on the parts of him. And he's just going to be a really tiny little bull, probably mature at about 30 inches, I would guess. Just not very big, but he's well mannered. A halter broke, and you can tie him. I can somewhat catch him, though it's a little tricky. I can smell this jackfruit is blooming, and this is Orange Crush Jackfruit, and it's got a lot of fruit set on it. It's got a lot of flowers on it, and the whole tree started flowering just non-stop when I tied my little bull up to this, when I was training him to be halter broke, and I tied him up. Then when I saw that it's caused the trees to start flowering, I tied him up to this tree, and this is a seedling tree, and it's flowering still, but hasn't set fruit, but it seems more affected by the drought. That's what all these leaves are on the ground that have fallen off. But I'm gonna leave him there while I walk around and look at fruit trees. Look at this Floragon mango. Oops, stepped in a hole. This Hazia sapodia is like, I could tell it's under a little drought stress. It's got some fruit on it. Also, I'm going to look at my Couepia bracteosa, because I noticed that one of the seeds had germinated. Whoa, 35 through here. It was like 10 inches tall, and it's only been 3 weeks, and supposedly those are very hard to get to germinate, but they were expensive seeds. Look at all the fruit on these trees. I mean, anybody that thinks that we don't get a lot of fruit is just not paying attention. It's the Kizar tree, my favorite, one of my favorite last year. It's got little tiny fruits also. Had powdery mildew, still has some powdery mildew, but it doesn't affect the fruit set on our trees. We focus on biological. I talk about this a lot, and you have to allow the plant pathogens. You can't intervene, otherwise your tree becomes susceptible to pest and disease stress, which is what's happened in Florida with the citrus. If they just let the natural progression of the greening take hold, the citrus probably could have overcome the greening issue, and it would not have gone systemic. But since they throw so many pesticides and fungicides and herbicides at the citrus industry, fruit trees, the trees just can't elicit an immune response, and now the trees die at like 15 years when they should be living 75 to 100. It's just crazy what we've done in our agriculture, and it's wrong. And this is a traditional way of growing, natural. It's how fruit trees have been grown successfully for thousands of years, and we don't water anything. And I want my trees to be able to survive on their own. I wanted this fruit tree farm to be here after I was gone without needing any care from humans. So people ask if I'm into syntropic or if I believe in syntropic. I believe in all regenerative forms of agriculture. If it works for you, by all means do it. Just that on Florida sand and the amount of work involved with syntropic, I just felt like it caused too much disturbance in the sand. In the sand, the biological system can be totally destroyed so quickly. I mean, I could destroy the whole farm just by mowing this property twice. So like in 4 hours, I could make these trees so that they weren't able to handle stress. So this is a seashore mangosteen. I've shown this tree a lot recently, and they say that this tree is ultra drought tolerant. I don't know if I believe that. I believe they're all about the same. It's got some nice fruit on it. It's showing slight drought stress. It shows about the same amount of drought stress as the other Garcinia trees. They all seem to be the same. Mangostana, the same as intermediate, the same as the seashore mangosteen, which is this one, the Garcinia hombromiana. And I am looking forward to tasting this fruit, and I think it's dropped some fruit. Yeah, there's one there. I see one that dropped there, but it had more fruit on here. It could be creatures going up in here because it seems to be holding most of the fruit. I know the squirrels like to follow me around and see what I'm doing. And this tree, this is the first year it's held fruit. It's flowered, and that's what I found out. It was a female tree, and it tried to set fruit, but it did not hold them the first time. That was 2 seasons ago. And last year, because of our winter drought we had 2 winters ago, and then followed by a severe summer drought, it just never bloomed. And you know, if it had high drought tolerance, it would not have ever been affected by the drought. So I'm positive that's what did it, but it is still setting new flowers and new fruit. So there's a lot of fruit on this tree. I look forward to being able to sell it. I want to plant most of these because these are non-pollinated. A lot of these fruits are non-pollinated female fruits, so I'm fairly certain that they're going to produce female trees, much like the Garcinia mangostana. I don't know this for sure, but I'm fairly certain that a monoecious female Garcinia tree produces, that's non-fertilized by a male, produces a viable seed that is going to produce a monoecious female fruit tree. So a lot of times these trees can be male trees, and we have 2 male trees, and they're beautiful, but they don't produce any fruit. The black sapotes are looking great. This one looks a little more drought stressed than the others. It's got a little bit of bloom on it. A lot of them have lots of bloom on it, like this one has a little bit more. So it should be a good black sapote here. We still have black sapote fruit. I just don't push it. I'm trying to wait for it to ripen on the tree because the fruit is so sweet and delicious when you do that, and doesn't even resemble a black sapote in flavor. It's just so intense, the sweetness of it. This is a Garcinia gardneriana that has fruit on it, and not a lot for some reason. I'm not sure why that is, but it has a long bloom period. It will just probably rebloom huge once it starts raining, but it has some fruit on it. It's had fruit all year long, off and on. Same with this Garcinia brasiliensis, and it's doing a huge bloom. But the Garcinia brasiliensis probably is my favorite lemon drop mangosteen, and I eat its skin and all, and it's still got flowers and fruit, and is doing well. I'm going to look at my little Garcinia madruna over here. This is a male Garcinia hombromiana tree. One of them still has flowers on it, but they bloom for a long period. Here's a little cashew they are unaffected by drought. Here's the Achachairu. That's why we started this farm, was for the Achachairu, which is I'm going to look at in a minute. So here's the Garcinia madruna, the bumpy lemon, chirichuelo, and I see a lot of fruit on it. I see a lot of fruit down here. I know there's a lot of fruit up here. I've seen it. There's fruit, flowers, and little fruits I see, and little fruits here. So this tree probably produces more consistently than all of the Garcinias I have, so pretty much non-stop. And this tree started producing when it was about 2 feet tall. It was always been planted in full sun, though this tree came up after I planted it and doesn't really provide that much shade for it, but eventually it will. But I've been spreading them around. There's a little cashew that got bit by the rabbits, but it's resprouting, thank God. Rabbits, they'll do a number on your fruit trees. So we grow about, I don't know, 19 different types of Garcinias, and we're flowering 9 and we fruit 8. I don't know if my Luke's is going to hold fruit. I'm going to wait until I see it holding fruit. This is a Garcinia macrophylla, and I'm not sure what this is. I thought it's I don't know. This is, I think, I'm not sure who this is either. Leaves are too big to be madruno. It looks more like a madrono to me, or a macrophylla. I don't know. I've bought and planted so many seeds over the years, but I know that this is a little Garcinia I planted. This is I think a lindero. I want them all to cross-pollinate. This is a little Garcinia here. I think a lindero. It could be a madruno. Here's a Luke's Garcinia that's kind of getting okay size. Gotta try to keep this ginger from shading it out. The leaves are not that big on this particular Luke's, but it does have large leaves down at the bottom. I've got about 100 Luke's trees. All varying sizes. Here's another Luke's. It's amazing, the Garcinias, they are like ideally suited to grow in Florida. They don't seem to need anything. Achachairus don't show any drought stress. Most of the Garcinias always look perfect all the time, whether it's raining or drought. Here's an Achachairu. I mean, I really haven't been able to tell a big difference between any of the Garcinias as far as cold tolerance, or maybe the Imbe seems a little more impervious to drought. That seems to be the only Garcinia that's a little bit different, and it seems impervious to cold. The cold we get here. Here's another Achachairu. So this is a hybrid Garcinia brasiliensis crossed with a Garcinia madruno, and this particular tree only produces 1 crop a year, this lemon drop hybrid. The fruit's much like the Garcinia madruno, but it I mean, not Madrona, the Garcinia gardneriana. But it also, you can eat the skin on this, and it's a sweet, more sweet fruit than the other lemon drop mangosteens, which is interesting. It's got an okay fruit set. I wish it had more fruit on it because it only gives me one crop a year. So unlike the rest of the Garcinias that produce multiple crops a year that we've got fruit in here, except for I don't know about the Hambromiana because it's the first year that we've got fruit off it. But all the New World Garcinias are monoecious that I've been able to see, and meaning they're self-fertile, so you don't have to worry about getting a male, and the seeds are all the same way. So that's nice thing about the New World Garcinias as opposed to the African mangosteen that can have male trees. And I'm going to look at these Garcinia Livingstonii over here because they have a lot of fruit on them, the monoecious female tree. Achachairu. We have about 500 Achachairos. They're all varying sizes. Most of them are seed grown. We have one fruiting tree, but we have about 10 trees that are just on the cusp of fruiting size. So next year or next year or the following year, they'll be fruiting. So we got so much to look forward to in the future here. It's nice. Sometimes I feel like I would like to sell this place because I'm just not really a fruit salesperson. Here's the other Garcinia Madrona, or Garcinia Hambromiana tree, and it's actually flowering still. It's showing a little bit of drought stress, very slight, but it's still able to flower, so I don't think it's hurting it at all. Here's a male Garcinia Livingstonii tree, and this tree, it's not even flowering. So this is a female monoecious Garcinia Livingstonii, and it's covered in fruit. This little tiny tree is covered in fruit. The jackfruits, some of the seedling jackfruits, like this one, is looking stressed, and this grafted tree is looking stressed, but I don't let that fool me. The trees can handle a little stress. It's good for them. It makes them stronger. It enhances the flavor of the fruit. It saves water. We've got a major water pollution problem here in Florida. So that's one of the main drivers of why we don't water anything. And plus, I know that the trees can handle it because we've been through, that's a Luke's Garcinia. We've been through drought so many times here that here's a Luke's Garcinia. I mean, they just look so healthy. It's like crazy to think that people think you have to water those here. I mean, that's just how I feel. We do grow quite a few of them, so I would say if I thought that they couldn't handle it, trust me. And then we've got lots of little seedlings. Here's a little Garcinia Livingstonii seedling. Here's another female Garcinia Livingstonii, a monoecious tree. All the female Garcinias are monoecious. You don't need from what I've been able to see, you don't need a pollinator for them. So here's a African mangosteen, and it's covered in fruit. This is the first time it's set fruit at this time of the year. When I first saw that this was a female tree, it was setting fruit in the middle of summer, and when high heat, when the temperature is too hot, they will not set fruit. So it'll bloom and look like it's going to set fruit, but the fruit will fall off. So if the weather is too hot, it could be a reason why you're not getting fruit set on your female Garcinia Livingstonii if you live in Arizona or somewhere like that. Or even a fruit on a male Garcinia Livingstonii tree. They do produce fruit by themselves, so not a lot, like 1 or 2 fruits. I mean, I've never gotten a huge. I've got 3 fruit off a male tree once, a big male tree. So looks like rain. I begged for rain. It would be nice if it rained. This looks like some fruit tree I planted, and it sure is fruit drought stressed. I mean, look at this. But I don't know what it is. Is it the sun drop? I don't know. It's something. Maybe I didn't plant it, but it doesn't look happy. But when trees look like that, they're okay during times of drought. They, like this Adamoya seedling, I know it's going to survive. Sure, it's going to lose some of its lower leaves, but it's going to be just fine. Here's a little Luke's Garcinia. Look at the difference in that one, but it is so close to the path. Planting next to a horribly compacted area like a path is just the worst for fruit trees, but yet in our agro systems today in Florida, they use mowed strips between the fruit trees, and then they spray glyphosate around the trees. So everything is compacted. It's just bizarre to me that that's the model that they use, even though they know that compaction is what's causing sea level rise here, so soil subsidence. So I don't know. It's just all of our information, our agricultural information, I found to be wrong. And that's why I don't look to anybody for inspiration. I look to indigenous communities for inspiration. So I watch foreign channels like in Brazil or Indonesia or Borneo. I guess that's Indonesia. And that's where I see how they're growing. These trees that I'm growing from areas like that, like this. This is a Platonia insignis tree, and it's doing just fine with no water. I noticed the Couepia bracteosa was suffering a little bit. I wanted to see if this Garcinia latissima was coming up, but I do not see it coming up yet. This is a rose apple tree that's doing good. The Garcinias, they all seem, there's an Achachairu there. There's a Garcinia debica there. There's a Garcinia dulcis there. I planted a Garcinia Brazilian charapu here. Or no, this was another Garcinia latissima. But it's not coming up yet. I'm sure it will. Garcinias can be very slow. Here's a cacao that's, you know, they're a little drought stressed, but I know with cacao they can drop their leaves during drought and be just fine, because that's what happens here a lot during drought, and I don't let it scare me. So this is a Garcinia mangosteen that never got affected by our cold weather here in the winter. Seed grown, it's like 20 inches tall now, or at least 15. We got a bunch of different stuff in here. Garcinia lindero. Garcinia lindero, a little bit bigger. They grow very fast, and lots of different other achachas in here. There's one there, and then amongst the cacao, and then there's some huge Achachairos over here. This is one that's like as tall as our fruiting tree, but not as big around and not as filled out. So they got to get a certain size, and in more tropical areas they get that size quicker, but here, because we're so far north, it can take 10 years before they actually get to size to start fruiting, especially if you're dry farming like we do. And we grow all these rare aroids. This is Philodendron maximum, and it's growing next to Anthurium warocquianum, Anthurium regali that got trashed by the wind, but it's fine. And philodendron melanochrysums and philodendron Sharonia mascara, and I got Anthurium quaramolens here, and then I got the King Anthurium Veitchii. This is the one with the wide ribs. Then I have the narrow ribbed one here, Veitchii, Anthurium Veitchii, and that's philodendron tenue. There's a philodendron spiritus sancti. Here's a Monstera Burley Marks. Looks great. Flame. All growing naturally. Philodendron gloriosum. Of course, we're coming off winter, and this is a drought period, but look at this philodendron luxurians, which is one of the hardest philodendrons to grow. It's just fine. This is a Anthurium nigrolaminum. Here's my one of our meringue trees. Doing great. I have this barricade to keep the rabbits away from it. I have a petali over there. Okay, I'm gonna look at this. Here's our cacao. It's the fruit's ripening early because of the drought. So it's getting these little fruits that are ripening, but it also has a lot of fruit on it, which could also be a reason, but I'm sure the drought is forcing them to ripen early. But this is a tiny little tree, and it had more than 20 fruit on it, and it's produced fruit that is I'm already getting seeds that are popping up. A little slow, but I can see more than one popping up. They started showing their selves right after the 4 days after I planted them. So, but I'm looking at this I planted my Theobroma bicolor in there. I wanted to see if it was coming up because it was 50 degrees, 51 degrees, and I bought the seeds from Fruit Lovers. I know they were viable seeds because they had already started sprouting, and I wanted to see if I could get them to grow here at 51 degrees because that's how cold it was, and I don't give cold protection. They need to have a certain amount of cold tolerance in order to survive here, just because we're so far north and we're growing out of its range. But I haven't seen them pop up since I planted them, but I'm fairly certain they're going to. These are my other seeds that I've recently planted, my Annona cariaceae, but they haven't popped up, and my Talicia melicoccus oliviformis, which I already have some trees of, so I'm not too worried about it. And then this is another one that I can't think of the name of it, but I could look at my past video. That's how I knew what this tree was over here, which I see is very drought stressed and hopefully not going to die, but it looks okay. I'm not sure if it was the drought stress or the cold, but this is the after just 3 weeks, it looks okay. This is the could have been just sunburnt because of the drought right here. This is the Couepia bracteosa I just planted 3 weeks ago, and it's already 10 inches tall. So I checked the other one and it's not coming up, but the creatures did dig it up. So I'm so excited about this tree because the fruit looks really good, and I was thrilled. I was like, is that a Platonia insignis? Because I don't mark my trees. Thank God I do a video of this stuff. So I was able to see that it was the Couepia bracteosa seedling that's that big. The seeds were like this big around. They were expensive. I think they were $30 each from Anderson Tropical. Is that where I got them? It was either Anderson Tropical or Bellamy. I like both of their seed sources. Not always the seeds pop up, so you can't like take it against the seed sellers. Even our seeds have had a tendency to not. This is a Wampy, the gold one, that's showing some drought stress. But I have this Plinia inflata, the giant mulchy, and it looks great. I mean, look at that. No drought stress whatsoever. Right next to the citrus, it's totally drought stressed. That's just how they look when they're drought stressed. It's nothing to worry about. Some people think that's mean, but you got to let trees get a certain amount of stress in order to produce a tree that's able to survive in today's changing climate. And they're adapted to deal with it, and that's what they're doing. And this is a Couepia torta, subspecies glabra. Looks like from the Cerrado, and I know the Cerrado has a long drought period, so it's able to handle it. It handled the freeze just fine. It's a little haggard because it got eaten by the rabbits right here, but that's a new leaf right there coming up. And it looks fine. I have this Couepia bracteosa that this is sunburn from the drought, but probably it's getting rid of some of the leaves so that it can handle the drought, because this leaf looks fine. This leaf was yellow when I got it from the nursery, but it looks fine. I'm not going to worry about it. They can handle it, but this Couepia bracteosa looks awesome. No drought stress whatsoever. And I believe that's from the Cerrado region of Brazil also. So what is that tree there? So this is a tree that I planted, and I don't even know what it is. I'm not sure who that is. But, oh, and there's a little Garcinia growing there. I wonder who that is. So this is not a Garcinia though. That looks like, I don't know, it looks like something else. I planted so much stuff here and it's all coming up. There's a Talicia melicoccus. Is that a Talicia species? I did plant some Talicias, some more Talicias in here, but I'm not sure. It's something. It's definitely something. Here's that Garcinia, and there's that Wampy. There's so much stuff in here. That's why, you know, selling this place, sure, I think about it. I would sell it to the right person, but I'm not going to sell it to somebody that thinks they need to consult with somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and tells them that you need to like clear this out or add wood chips and totally changes the system and kills everything. So I'm kind of picky about who I would sell it to. I have somebody I would sell it to in a heartbeat, but they're not ready yet. There's Philodendron domesticum, looking great. This is another Talicia melicoccus, or could be Colac, the Talicia florescii. I don't know. I'll know when it fruits. They're definitely going to fruit. Here's a Garcinia intermedia. Here's a little cacao here. Here's a Talicia florescii, looking good finally. I saw that, was wondering why it wasn't growing because voles were getting it. So I did what I did to my durian, and I pushed the hole in and then peed around the it's gross, I know, but it keeps the voles away from my durian. This durian's flourishing since I did that. So here's a little Arabica coffee from my friend Scott, who gave me another coffee called Mocha, growing next to this cacao, growing next to a pulasan tree that was able to handle the winter. Right there, just fine. This little tree here. Put off these new leaves in the winter, so I just don't think the stuff is nearly as cold stressed. Doesn't get as cold stressed as people thought. But you also have to grow soil health and build biology, and you do that with living roots in the ground, multi-species, diverse, and giant trees help for sure. There's so much water in that. Bananas help, giant trees help, but it's not enough to protect a tree that's cold sensitive, like breadfruit and stuff. It just isn't. And this durian looks fine too. The durians that survived the winter got a little cold stressed, but Keppel and Pulisan and Meringue and Petali, they seem fine. They didn't get cold stressed at all. And durian got a little cold stressed. So I'm gonna go up to this Achachairu. There's another Achachairu. This is our daily compost. So we use our Zebu. That's why I always show our miniature Zebu. This is what we clean out the barn. This is 1 day's worth of barn bedding we put in there at night that they pee and urinate on. We have our little miniature babies, our heifers, out in the pasture together, because I wanted them to get used to being out in the pasture together, and they wanted to play, and they're so cute, and the mothers just are so much happier on pasture. So it's a little stressful because they're young mothers and they can be a little violent towards each other. So I got a bull calf reserved to go with these 2 heifers. I have somebody that wants both of them, but if they don't come through, I'm just going to keep them, and I'm going to keep the bull calf from Rick Bogle myself. So and we're just going to have fences made in here and deal with it, unless somebody else came along. But somebody did say they want them, so I'll give them first option. Here's our star apple. Supposedly I'm going to be getting some Alba star apple seeds. This is our DPI Gold star apple. DPI Gold and Alba are supposed to be the best. This is Oscar's Giant Purple seed grown. Look at all the leaf litter from this big Inga spectabilis tree. They drop leaves during drought, so that's what's going on. June plum, Spondius dulcis. I couldn't think of the name of hog plum, Spondius bombin. I don't know what was wrong with my mind last time I did a video, but I couldn't think of the Latin names of some stuff. I guess I always do that. This is a Black Beauty, Black Sapote, Diosporus nigra, Nigra. Here's a sapodilla. This is a delicious sapodilla that's showing drought stress. This is my Juicy Pearl star apple that is definitely drought stressed, severely drought stressed. Here's my Achachairu that produces fruit, and it looks great. Let me see if there's fruit on it. It looks like it's still flowering, and it's definitely got a lot of fruit on it. Lots and lots of fruit. And it's doing these droops of fruit, and I love Achachairu fruit. Oh, it's got new flowers still up here. So it flowers even during drought. No problem. And this is the first year it's done such a big bloom or fruiting. So it's unaffected by the drought, though I do see it's lost some leaves, and that's from drought. Definitely is from drought. That's what they do. They just drop leaves. So, but it's holding its fruit, and our mangoes always hold their fruit during drought. So it's nothing to worry about. This plant here looks totally drought stressed, but I don't let it worry. I'm not worried about it. That's just part of survival and making a stronger plant. Droughts and floods happen, but it looks like it might rain, possibly, supposedly tomorrow. Anyway, I'm Eric, and this is Frog Valley Tropical Fruit Farm, and this is Florida Natural Farming, and that's my video on drought and the Garcinias and some seedlings and discussing drought tolerance in plants. I hope you have an excellent day. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like. Nobody seems to like my videos on the comments. They leave comments, which I love, but they forget to like my videos. Please like my videos. It helps the channel, and I guess that's what I want, right? Thanks for watching. Please leave a comment. I love hearing from you. Have an excellent day.